Good evening and welcome to it. This is Chess and Wine. My name is ADB. Look her back at you with a baron on my side. You see, now whenever I'm gonna have to celebrate it. But anyways, chess and wine, chess and politics kind of goes together, right? Chess and wine, chess and politics. So now something interesting has happened, and it's not very interesting, but it's just eye-opening, mind-blowing. Kind of makes you realize that this has been the plan all along. It's just that they've been waiting for ratification. So, hey, apparently, no, not apparently, I've got the letter, but I'm not supposed to have it. But apparently, Chess South Africa, the executive board of Chess South Africa has decided that they were going to suspend the Eastern Cape interim structure. Yep, you remember the threats that I once read to you from the WhatsApp group where Andre Lewaks is, where he was saying to Luzugos and Denise, I'm coming for you. We are coming for you. Yes, I'm going to remove you and so forth. And he was speaking as if he was having some wine as well from wherever he was sitting. And he was just excitedly speaking. Yo, we're coming for you. I'm going to remove you. We're tired of leaders like you. What? And yeah, he acted on it. So barely a week after they have been ratified by FIDE, they're already throwing suspensions around. So yes, Andre Lewaks' executive board decides to suspend Liz Kundelisa's interim executive committee in the Eastern Cape, and there's a whole lot of stories going around. All right, obviously, one idea is maybe Andre Lewaks is going through trauma. He's traumatized. I mean, there's a possibility that he's traumatized by the abuses that he's been receiving from Hendrik du Toit, that he's now emulating the same type of abuse, passing it on to others. Like, how it is, right? Like with the parents that grew up in apartheid. If you're raised by parents that grew up in apartheid, they'll beat you up, right? Like they'll lash out on you. Like they'll use a chambok, they'll use hands, fists, or whatever, because they will abuse themselves, right? Like they got beat up whenever they put a foot wrong. They got beat up by police who were their age just for walking on the wrong side. So whenever they got home, you put a foot wrong, you get slapped, you get beat up, and so forth. It's the trauma that their parents are leaving out, right? So it's the same thing with Andre Lewaks. Apparently, he's experienced a whole lot of abuse from Hendrik du Toit during Hendrik du Toit's time. He's one of the persons that he shouted at the most, apparently. So maybe again, when he got home, he's like, one day I'm going to be just like that man. Whenever I get that power, I'm going to do the same thing. And obviously the suspensions, remember, again, it's the same thing that Hendrik du Toit did. Like he suspended all the provinces. I think very early after he got the letter from the courts, he started doing this, suspending the provinces, right? Like whenever you can't work with people, you suspend them or things like that. I don't know. But that's one reason that I have. It's that's the trauma Andre Lewaks is suffering. Or number two, it's this thing where I'm hearing rumors, allegedly, there is a looming vote of no confidence that the council is about to propose, right, on the structure, so on the current executive board. So maybe now what the executive board is doing is removing all of the leaders that they believe are going to vote against them in that vote of no confidence. Which obviously, a lot of people believe that Eastern Cape was not going to vote for them, was not going to be to support, because they've been very vocal in how they don't support and don't see any progress coming from this executive. That's why they were even bold enough to write a letter during the SA Colors scandal to say that we distance ourselves from this. And obviously, the council decided to decide against the executive board, which might not be the last time they do that, because again, with this suspension, I'm wondering if the council will support this, right? Because it'll just bring back that trauma to the council as well. Like, snap, this man is doing exactly what the former leadership was doing, right? No, but honestly though, I think because now Andre Lewaks is kind of exhibiting a whole lot of Hendrik du Toit-ish type of symptoms, right? Like, I think from this point on, before he does something, before he acts on something, before he even puts his signature on something, he must just sit back and think, what would Hendrik du Toit do? And then figure that out and decide, I'm going to just do the opposite of it. Because, you must be very careful. You must be, like, it's one of those things where immediately after you remove a leader that most people were not happy with, and you too included, you don't want to come to that person's office, assuming that person's role, and then doing the same things. Now, you seem like it kind of makes you seem like you don't even know what you were talking about, because all of the things that you were speaking out against when you were not in the leadership position are the same things that you are now doing. You see, so it's kind of crazy. Like, you don't want people speaking up against you, but you were speaking up against people. You don't want people acting in a way that is not in line with what you want. You are now, honestly, it's kind of that way. I think that he should kind of have that system where he thinks first, what would Hendrik du Toit do, and then decide to do the opposite. But again, like I'm saying, there's a whole lot of stories going around. Some are saying it's the battle for the Eastern Cape Empire, right? The Game of Thrones in the Eastern Cape. And they're saying that Andre Lewaks' signature, Andre Lewaks himself, is being used as a puppet by those that are fighting for the powers of for control of the Eastern Cape. So remember, in the battle against, say, for instance, it was the Nelson Mandela Bay, and then Nelson Mandela Bay issue where Luzuko Ndinisa decided to suspend, obviously his executive decided to suspend Mr. Now Peter over pending the elections because of the elections issues. And then Mr. Minawa and Mrs. Nicole Peter, who was at the time acting as the secretary of the executive of the Nelson Mandela Bay, decided to go on and run the elections, even though the Eastern Cape was not in support of that. Wait, now the structure above, hey, this is always mirroring each other, right? So now the higher structure, which is the province, now suspended is Ninawa Peter, and obviously because of the issues surrounding the elections. But the elections went on, and he got elected, and Ninawa Peter got elected as the president, right? And then later on, there were other elections now, the elections which were called by the province, the interim structure, whose mandate has said, even in the letter it is said, whose mandate was to actually oversee and run and facilitate elections in the province, right? So now they run elections and they have their own structure. And now there's two interim structures. And now they obviously, even I called for the national structure to come and intervene because the issue is now serious, it's big, right? And their intervention is to throw in the suspension. But then now people are saying that the Peters are trying to remove, it's an allegation. I mean, it's sort of crazy, like, how could it be possible that they are trying to remove Luzuko Ndinisa because they are against Luzuko Ndinisa because Luzuko Ndinisa is getting in the way of their climb to the top of the Eastern Cape, of the Eastern Cape, right? They want to take control of the Eastern Cape. It's a rumor, right? And now they're saying that now since Mrs. Nicole Peter is in the executive board of the Chess South Africa, she's pulling the strings, or Mr. Minawa Peter is pulling the strings through Nicole Peter, and Nicole Peter is obviously able to run I don't even know how she does that. She probably pulls up some safeguarding thingies there. Safeguarding policies. You must remove this Ndinisa because, hey, if you don't, he's abusing my children. Because again, you see, those are the type of people who, my children, my kids every time. But I'm just saying, but that's one of the rumor, one of the story, right? So they're saying that they're using now Andre Lewaks and the current executive board. Now I'm thinking about it. In the current executive board, is it even possible that they would be using people like that for such like that? Like in the executive, because I mean, come on, who would vote for people that would be easily used like this? Because in the executive board, who's there? There's the president, Andre Lewaks, which are like looking at his recent behaviors, you kind of see that, hey, he maybe thinks later, and then he not before making the move, right? So most of his, that is why you have the council reversing his decisions and his executive board's decisions, because they have that problem of thinking later, maybe. So that's Andre Lewaks, president. So again, possible that he could be influenced, right? Secondly, it's Vice President one, Lindokuhle Ngubane. Well, again, he's got his issues as well, like occupying two offices, the president of KZN and occupying the office of the new president. He might be also sitting on something that he doesn't want to run from in KwaZulu-Natal, that he's hiding, that if he leaves the position, someone comes in, they might unveil that, whatever it is. So maybe he's got scandals that people know, and then he's easily maneuvered, like easily controlled because of that. Like, or maybe he was waiting to oversee the SA Open, and then after the SA Open, he can just vacate. Or was he waiting for that letter? I don't know, for that feeder letter. So yeah, maybe, I don't know, man. I thought Ngubane was a strong character. So if again there's a voting system, maybe he's outvoted. And then there's Vicky Magoo. Vicky Magoo, you promise him some ching ching, like he's some, like, I think Vicky's for sale, I think. Is he not? I think people are making me like Vicky. I mean, you can just go, Vicky, come here. Or maybe again, you could know one or two of his scandals and you say, hey, if you do this, I won't mention that. It's like, okay, come. And then there's Carol Lifieri. Again, Vicky Mogu. And then Carol Lifieri as well. There are also the other people who are sitting on gold that they don't want to get up from. So Carol Lifieri also has his own issues in the Northwest, where he's still the president, and yet he's still the treasurer of Chessa South Africa. Same as Vicky Mogu, still holding the position of president in Gauteng and still here, right? Like, I don't know, what are they waiting for? Maybe they're waiting for certain things to happen before they leave. Like I don't know, like maybe Vicky was waiting for the AYCC to happen so that when he gets to see all of the money that comes in, and then move on. Then who else is there? Then there's Andre, Nicole Peter, acting secretary. Remember when she was acting as a secretary of Nelson Mandela Bay? She held elections, and then then again, now she's acting as a secretary here. So wait, these people still have an issue, an outstanding matter within the executive committee of electing, appointing, or actually having a secretary, and they prioritize suspending a province. They prioritize going on with the suspension of the Eastern Cape. Wow. So Nicole Peter appears twice in this letter. Acting Secretary Nicole Peter. Provincial Rep Nicole Peter. So that's why she could have 2 votes. It's easy to manipulate people. So I'm thinking this theory now gets to carry some weight. You see now she's appearing 2 times in one letter. And then there's another provincial rep, No Loandle Kumalo. Hey. Yeah, you see the other provincial reps like Jeanette Mabitsela as well. I wonder if they've got a voice. I've never heard them speak. Anyway, like there's only one provincial rep that we're seeing in everything, in everywhere. So all these rumors might have some weight, man. Hey. Yeah, and then the SASCA president, Mr. Fungile Nglayanga. Hey, I wonder if he has a vote in this thing. But wow, whatever. We're now waiting for the true leaders of Chess South Africa, which is the Provincial Council, because they're the actual leaders, not this executive board. Hey, with the things that they're doing, I don't understand. But anyways, let me just read the letter for you before anything goes, before I go overboard. So the letter reads as follows. Dear Mr. Luzukun Denise, and it's for the attention of the Eastern Cape Interim Management Committee, Eastern Cape Sports Confederation, Eastern Cape Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, Regional Executive Committees, Eastern Cape Chess Community. Eastern Cape Chess Community. And I'm wondering again, if they're going to go as a province, as a national executive board to suspend a province, who exactly mandated the province? Is it them or is it the Provincial Council, which is the regions? Apparently, there's 8 regions in that province, right? Did they consult with those members of the Provincial Council, or they choose to disregard the most powerful structure in the province because they can disregard their own their own council, their national council? No, it's crazy though. Like it's so crazy. And I'm wondering, like, if they're now going to suspend Elizabeth Denise's executive board without receiving a report from that executive board and reading to learn what the challenges may have been for them not to have been able to fulfill their task over the years. Before obviously the suspension, right? Like they must first get the facts. Because otherwise, they would now run with whatever they have, suspend out of emotions, suspend this executive board, and then put someone in to try and do and facilitate what Elizabeth Denise's executive board couldn't. What happens if the person comes back when comes here and faces the same challenges that the executive board Elizabeth Denise has been facing? I mean, the interim structure Elizabeth Denise has been facing. what are the challenges? Do they even know what the challenges may have been? Because I remember one time hearing Lulu Zukundinisa explaining that the distance between regions in Eastern Cape is too wide, a whole lot of challenges. But I know, I'm not saying that's an excuse, but again, are those challenges something that they're aware of and they're prepared to assist the next person to overcome? And if so, then why are they not willing to assist Luzuko Denise's executive board to overcome those challenges before throwing a suspension? Thinking of things like that kind of makes it seem like their suspension might be personal. It might be on some personal grounds. So it looks as follows. It's not even a suspension. My goodness, I'm busy saying suspension. It's a dissolution. Listen to this. Dear Mr. Luzuko Denisa, dissolution of Eastern Cape Chess Association Interim Committee. The Chess South Africa Executive Board reflected and discussed the state of chess in the Eastern Cape and its Exbo meeting held on the 27th of June. The Exbo is deeply concerned about the lack of unity and progress to conduct democratic elections and therefore resolved the following. Lack of unity. We resolve the following: to dissolve the Eastern Cape Interim Management Committee led by Mr. Alan Denisa. The interim committee has been in place for the past 4 years with the sole purpose of organizing elections within 12 months of the committee's appointment. However, the interim committee failed to execute on its mandate. This sounds like Ninawa Peter's words, because I remember him saying those words over and over again in so many different places. So we see now it kind of gives weight to some theories. I'm not saying that's the case, but it sounds like something that he has said a number of times. It continues, there are various other constitutional violations carried out by the Eastern Cape Interim Committee that will be forwarded to the Constitutional or Disciplinary and Ethics Committee. We have other committees in South Africa, in Chess South Africa. Like, when are they going to tell us that they have an ethics committee, a disciplinary committee, and a constitutional committee? Jeez. Members of any parallel district structures that derail the work of Chess South Africa to conduct elections in the Eastern Cape will be facing possible disciplinary inquiries should they not stop to cause division in the Eastern Cape chess community. The Chess SA Constitution and Eastern Cape Chess Constitution does not make provision or allow for parallel structures. Now again, the question of parallel structures. Which structure is the parallel structure? The parallel one being the one that is formed next to the official one. The structure that has been formed by a co-opted, obviously in elections called by a co-opted secretary, where there was a suspended member who was elected. The same elections that the Interim Executive Committee of the Eastern Cape said to halt and not go on with, but obviously they decided to go on with. Or the structure that has been obviously facilitated, that has been put in place by with the support of the Interim Executive Committee of the Eastern Cape, which is mandated to do that, as the line in the second in the first line, as the first line of this, the first point in fact says. Even though they've been given 12 months, like the 4 years thing is not, it's nothing, because even the Mpumalanga structure has been in place for up to 4 years. But last week they had elections because they were getting support here and there, maybe somehow. But even that's form of support, because they were also crying that, you see the issue of support, because even the Mpumalanga structure has been crying about the resources they had to cough out of their pockets. Traveling had to come out of their own pockets. Telephone calls they had to call from their own airtime. Data, there was no support whatsoever. At least other structures they've got what? They've got bank accounts, they've got a pocket, they've got some coffers where they could get some money to do any of these things. But these interim structures did not have that support. So I'm wondering if they've got this support in the Eastern Cape, but again, parallel structures. That was just the point, the parallel structures. And it moves on to the above decision is in accordance with the Chess South African Constitution, and the Exbo further resolve that all activities sanctioned by the Eastern Cape Interim Committee henceforth will be suspended. Regional structures of the Eastern Cape Chess is advised. This also kind of has a personality. Regional structures of Eastern Cape Chess is advised not to follow any instructions by the interim committee. The decision is to dissolve the interim structure of the Eastern Cape Chess is in line with the following Chess South Africa constitutional provisions as per the under-mentioned clause. Clause 17.1. Any member of any classification which ceases to operate a viable structure as contemplated in this constitution may be suspended from membership. See, that's why I'm saying it was a suspension. I'm busy calling it a suspension. May be suspended from membership by the Executive Board of Chess South Africa, and the National Council shall decide at its next meeting whether the membership of such member should be terminated, further suspended for a fixed or an indefinite period of time, or restored. So again, another point is 25.8 of the Constitution. It is recognized that it is desirable for all provincial chess associations themselves to negotiate and achieve unified provisional bodies with regional structures. Notwithstanding this, ExCo shall have the right and power to be proactive and to take such steps as it may to facilitate unity as may seem fit to ensure that any difficulties or problems in the way of unity in any provinces shall be overcome. So they are promoting unity by suspending and dissolving structures. But are they themselves promoting unity though? Because I'm wondering if they believe that this is unity themselves. As an ExCo, we would like to reiterate that the Chess South African Constitution and the Eastern Cape Chess Constitution does not give any executive powers to the interim committee, and we therefore revoke any powers it bestowed to itself. The ExCo therefore decided to appoint an administrator for the Eastern Cape Province Chess in order to assist the province to pave the way for democratic elections, the details and mandate of the administrator, and a roadmap for elections to be announced within the next 14 days. Any person who attempts to obstruct the activities of the appointed administrator will be referred to the Chess South Africa Ethics and Disciplinary Committee. Please introduce those people in those committees for us. Introduce them to us. We want to know who they are. We trust that Eastern Cape regions will cooperate and adhere to this resolution taken by the Executive Board of Chess South Africa. The Eastern Cape Sports Confederation and DISREC will be informed accordingly. Kind regards, Mr. Andre Lewaks. Wait, they hope and trust that the regions, which is now the council, would adhere to this without them being consulted? Or have they been consulted? Are they in on this? Are they part of this? Do they support this decision that you would suspend or dissolve a structure that was actually put together by them for their own purpose? Have you consulted this interim, this regions, this provincial council? Wow. So there you have it. There's a suspension. It's not a suspension, but it's a suspension. It's a dissolution of the structure, of Mrs. Lusuku and Denise's structure, right? And obviously, it reads and sounds like a suspension, but it's a dissolution of the structure. They're dissolving something that they did not form. They found a structure there, and they're already only a week in the office, and they're deciding to dissolve it so that they can start working. It's an interim structure, which is meant to only facilitate elections. Can they work with it? Like in Mpumalanga, I think. Like, I like this. I love this comparison. Like, can't they work with this interim structure like they did in Mpumalanga? Because they can't lie to us and say, in Mpumalanga, there was unity, there was this and that. Like, come on. But obviously, elections happened, and everybody's happy with the fact that they went on and they are fine, and then now people can start working. So now what's happening with them? Why with the Eastern Cape, where there is so much interest, personal interest from members of the executive board, that they run into acting out, like acting out of anger, dissolutions, suspensions, kind of sounds similar. I don't know. I'm hoping they'll answer. I'm hoping somebody raises their hand and saying, Eddie, I'm prepared to answer. So this is right of reply. I'm hoping somebody comes and say, I'm ready to answer. Like, make a video, I send it to you, or we'll write a press release statement, or we'll do an interview. but definitely answer those questions. Why is Eastern Cape treated so differently? Huh? Because we don't have it in writing. We don't have any communication where there's been challenges, there's been struggle between the powers in the Eastern Cape and the National in terms of facilitating the elections. What happened? Because the only thing we know is that the Eastern Cape Executive Interim Committee suspended Mr. Mninawa Peter. Mr. Mninawa Peter went on to get elected as a Nelson Mandela Bay president. Mrs. Nicole Peter went on to get elected as a regional provincial representative, a national provincial representative. And now suddenly there's these reactions. Mr. Andre Lewaks said that he was siding with Mr. Mninawa Peter in some comments in the group because there's a letter from the Sports Confederation. Sports Confederation said that doesn't recognize the structure. The structure was... actually they did write a letter saying they recognize the structure. Right? So yes, so maybe that, but I don't know if that is enough for Chess South Africa to say we side with when they've got their own member, which is the province, that they have to communicate with instead of the regional sporting confederation. Like honestly, somebody needs to give us answers. Now I'm wondering what is happening in the Free State now. Is something similar happening in the Free State? Because again, the Free State is also another province that didn't have elections for a very long time. Are they suspending people or are they facilitating elections? Are things working out smoothly there or is Eastern Cape a special case? Come on. Give us some answers, please. How? We don't want people throwing out rumors. Did you hear the rumors that I was speaking about in the beginning? Because the more quiet, the more you remain quiet, the more they gain momentum. Like they just keep spreading that, oh, there must be something like this. Why though? What's happening in the Eastern Cape that is of so much interest? We'll understand if it is Gauteng, there's gold there, right? Like that's the place of gold. But it's the Eastern Cape, man. Anyways, good evening. And because obviously we're at the end of the video, I'll need to remind you to subscribe if you haven't subscribed. But if you have subscribed already, there is also the option of joining and becoming a member for 30 rands a month, or 60 rands a month, or 124 rands a month, or 224 rands a month, depending on how you're feeling, right? Like, that's just you. Obviously, that is something that will help keep the channel going. It's not just for wine, as it says there, but it's also for the data. It's also for the chess. I don't know what else it's for, but it's for a lot of things. But again, you'll decide what it's for once you are a member, and you can say, not this, or focus on that. Talk about that. See, members have that, right? Like they can come call me and go like, hey, Eddie, here's a story. Focus on this. So let's see what can come out of it. Then we see. But from now, this is it from me. Cheers and wine. Good evening.